very much. So today I'm going to talk about our paper toward geometrical robustness with hybrid deep learning and differential invariant theory, which is some joint work between my colleague Mathieu Rioux from Thales and myself. So the purpose of the paper is to explain how we can embed symmetries into machine learning algorithm, and I'm going to say a few words about the notion of symmetries. So they are ubiquitous in real world and in particular in physics. So you have, for instance, the Gauss symmetry of the standard model in particle physics. You can relate symmetries to conservation law in the context of the evolution of physical systems thanks to Noether theorem. And you can also think about this notion of symmetries when thinking about the invariance of the information conveyed by some physical object like images or sounds. So what we expect from machine learning algorithm is to comply with these symmetries. So here I'm going to give a few examples. So let's say we have a physical system for which we want to predict the evolution. We expect the machine learning algorithm to give us consistent result for different initial conditions. Similarly, if we think about molecule classification, we expect machine learning algorithm to be insensitive to the position of the molecule. Similarly, for image classification, we expect to be agnostic to their orientation. And for sounds classification, for instance, we can think that it is reasonable to expect that the algorithms are going to be agnostic to the volume of the recording, for instance. So now, if we look into detail about the specification of classical machine algorithm, there is nothing about specifically encoding symmetries into their design. So I'm going to explain why this is a problem by looking at image classification, simple image classification task. So here on the animation, what you have are the results of the classification obtained with a neural network trained on the MNIST dataset as we rotate the sample. So we can see that there is definitely no robustness with respect to the rotation transform. So this lack of robustness is also going to be an issue in terms of data privacy, as here, for instance, we have been able to retrieve the vertical and horizontal orientation of the plane that were used to train a neural network just by looking at the output of this neural network on rotated version of the samples. Finally, what is also interesting to have in mind is that even for off-the-shelf algorithms for which we have spent a significant amount of time by training them using sometimes data augmentation technique in order to make them more robust to a given set of transforms. So even for this algorithm, the robustness to the targeted transforms is not perfect. So it's much better than if we do nothing, but which still have some area for which we cannot prove the robustness of the algorithm. So in order to explain how we can embed symmetries into machine learning algorithm, I'm going to start by saying a few words about the two-dimensional convolution operator, which is typically used in conventional neural network. So here, this operator, this convolution operator, so is going to be what we call equivariant with respect to translation. So it means that if we have an original image to which we apply translation, then the convolution image here, which is computed by evaluating the convolution map on the top of that slide, is going to be translated accordingly. So this notion of equivariance is actually underlying to the success of convolutional neural network. And what we would like to do in the following is to build other equivariant feature extraction operator, but for other transform than translation. So to do so, we first need a mathematical framework to describe transforms in a generic way, and we are using a bit of group theory. So in the following, a group will be a set of transforms that we can combine together. So it's a bit of a simplified definition, but that will be enough to discuss what we want to present today. So here are a few examples of groups in two dimensions. So we have the translation group, R2, the rotation group, SO2, and what we call the special Euclidean group, which is the group of the isometry of the planes, basically for which the elements are combination of rotation and translation. So these groups, they can act on data. So here we have a few examples. So these groups, they can act on the single MNIST digit. So here by translation, by rotation, and by isometries. For continuous group of transforms, such as the one that we have just described, which are called Lie group, there exists a very powerful theory, which, for instance, states that there exists a finite dimensional space, which is called the Lie algebra, which is going to convey a significant amount of information about the general structure of the group. So I'm now going to explain how we can extract equivariant feature by using PDE theory, again by using some example from the image classification task. So partial differential equation, they have been widely used in the context of image processing task. And how does it work? It works by representing a given image by a function f0 defined over R2. So we then model the feature extraction process through the evolution of a PDE, having the function f0 here as initial condition. So here I have an example, which is the 2D heat equation with initial condition f0. And what is interesting with that example is that if we diffuse this PDE up to a time sigma square over 2, then we obtain a feature which is the same as the one we would have obtained if we had done a convolution between the original image f0 and a Gaussian kernel with bandwidth sigma. So here we can see that the PDE modeling allows to extract equivariant feature, and that the equivariance is going to depend on the PDE structure. So here we have a very special structure because our PDE is involving the Laplacian operator, which is what we call invariant to rotation and translation, in the sense that if we have a function f which is solution to that PDE, then we can build another solution tilde f by applying a rotation and a translation to the space variable of the original function. So what we see here is that by diffusing the heat equation, we can extract equivariant feature to both rotation and translation. So this equivariant property is illustrated here on that image, where we start from the original image, we diffuse the PDE to extract a feature, and then we can rotate that feature, and this gives us the same result as starting from the original image, applying a rotation, and then diffusing the PDE to extract the feature. What is also interesting with that approach is that we can have sometimes a very good interpretation of the feature extraction process. So here we see that the Gaussian convolution interpretation is quite helpful in understanding what the PDE is doing. So the question is now how we can generalize that process to a generic group action, and how we can get to discriminative feature for the learning task that we are considering. So to explain that, I'm going to give a bit of background about the notion of symmetry group and differential invariant. So we have seen in the previous slide that a group G can act on an image, and that an image can be represented as a function. So in general, a group G can act on a given function f by acting on its graph. So to illustrate that, let's consider a function f here with its graph gamma f here. And we consider a group element here, so a group element from the rotation group, so rotation, which is going to act on the graph. So we obtain a transformed graph. We can then define a new function, fg, for which the graph is going to be this transformed graph. So now, by defining fg as the transform of the function f by the action of the element g of the group, we have defined the action of the group on the function f. Now, a symmetry group of a PDE is such that if f is a solution of the PDE, then all the transform fg for g ranging in the group elements are also going to be solution. So if we come back to the previous example, the group SE2, is a symmetry group of the heat equation. Now, a differential operator d of order n is an operator acting on a function f and its partial derivative up to the order n. So the Laplacian is a differential operator of order 2. And in the following, we will write a PDE in the form d of f equals 0. With this formalism, differential invariant for a given group action are differential operators that are going to correspond to PDE having G as a symmetry group. So the Laplacian is a differential invariant for the group SE2. What is interesting now is that the differential invariant, they can actually be computed by leveraging on what we call an infinitesimal invariance criteria. So this is quite interesting because it is only going to involve the elements of the basis of the Lie algebra that we have previously introduced and which is of finite dimension. So it's going to lead to tractable computation. Also, for classical groups such as SE2, the work has actually been done, and there are many papers from which you can get the differential invariant for this group. If you are considering more exotic groups, then you may have to follow the methodology given by the infinitesimal invariance criteria, and you can then leverage on some symbolic calculus software such as Mathematica or Maple to get to the solution. So now that we have introduced this background, we can describe our generic way of extracting equivariant feature by using PDE. So we represent the data D here by the graph of a function fd, and we are going to extract G equivariant feature UTD by diffusing a PDE with a symmetry group G up to time t. What is interesting is that the feature that we are extracting is going to depend on the differential invariant that we are considering. So in practice, the infinitesimal invariance criteria allows us to build a generating set of differential invariants, so dg1 up to dgk. An interesting property is that if we consider a function of this differential invariant, it remains a differential invariant. So what we propose to do is to use a parametric form for the differential invariant by using a function ft of the generating differential invariant where t is a vectorial parameter. By doing so, we extract a feature ut of t. So here is an example with SE2. So from the literature, we can get the differential invariant for this group, which are given here. And what we can do is to consider a parametric differential invariant by choosing a multivariate polynomial in the element of this set. So in the following, that's what we have done, and in particular, that's what we have used to produce the result in our paper, but many other choices are possible. So now the question is, how can we find meaningful parameters in order to build discriminative feature for the learning task that we are considering? So we propose doing so by introducing what we have called an PDE-net structure, so which is a hybrid neural network combining a PDE layer with fully connected layers. So in the PDE layers, you have NE PDE that are used to extract representation UT θ1 up to UT θ. And what we are doing is to include the vectorial parameters θi in the trainable variable of our network. So at the end, we have a network that we are going to train, considering the weights of the fully connected layers and the PDE parameters θi as trainable parameters. For the considered learning task, we have a given loss, and then we do that by minimizing this loss. So the question is, can we do that efficiently? And to do it efficiently, we are proposing approximating the integration of the PDE by using some convolution layer. So more precisely, we are discretizing the PDE using a Euler explicit scheme, which is written here. And we are performing one step of this discretization scheme by using a small convolutional neural network that we have called EulerConv. In the EulerConv unit, we are approximating the partial derivative of the input through the convolution of the input with a kernel with constant weights. By combining this partial derivative, we are able to compute a given differential invariant, and these differential invariant they can then be used in this equation to produce the outputs of our iteration. The entire Euler scheme is then completed by using several EulerConv units in a unit that we have called the convient unit. So this is a discretization scheme which is going to depend on discretization parameters, and these discretization parameters, we consider them as hyperparameters of our approach. So I am now going to give some results about our work, and in particular, some benchmarking between our approach and some fully connected neural network that we have performed on the ROT-MDIS dataset. So the ROT-MDIS dataset is the same as the MDIS dataset, except that we have applied a random rotation to the samples. In order to evaluate the algorithm, we have built two other scenarios, so the ISO scenario and the SCA scenario, which correspond to the application of random isometry for the ISO scenario and random scaling for the scaling scenario. We have instantiated a NEC PDE-NET architecture with 4 PDE in the PDE layer, so 2 PDE to extract equivariant feature with respect to the group SE2, and 2 other to extract equivariant feature with respect to scaling and translation. So you have here the several scenarios that we have considered, and the results that we have obtained are quite promising because in all the cases, our approach gives better results than fully connected neural network. What we can see is that when we look at the discrepancies between the two approaches in the test set, we see that this discrepancy is higher when working with a low number of parameters, meaning that our approach allows to extract a meaningful feature even with a low number of parameters. When we look to the two other scenarios, which are here to measure the robustness of the approach, we see that the discrepancy between the two models is higher when working with a high number of parameters. It means that in that case, our approach allows to decrease the overfitting risk and increase the robustness of the model. So here, these results, so they are not, we see some discrepancies and we show that we are better than fully connected neural network, but there is some significant room for improvement because we have not worked very hard on tuning the hyperparameter of the approach and also working on the tuning of the network topology. So there is definitely some room for improvement. So to conclude, we have seen that so we can make the PDE base feature extraction process equivariant by leveraging on differential invariant theory. So this leads to a very generic approach applicable to a wide range of data type and group action. We are currently internally investigating this approach for Doppler signal processing task. Working with hybrid approach with PDE layers in machine learning is also quite appealing because, for instance, we can further constrain the parametric shape of the PDE to enforce other properties than equivariance. So we could add some constraints with respect to physics equations, some other type of expert knowledge. And also, as we said earlier, this PDE modeling allows to be more interpretable than other approaches to embed equivariance in neural networks, such as the use of group convolutional neural network, which is another approach for doing that. Our preliminary results are quite promising, but further work is needed. In particular, we would like to refine the parameterization of the differential invariant. So for instance, instead of using multivariate polynomials for the function ft, we would like to use, for instance, a small neural network. We need to further optimize the topology of the network and the hyperparameters, including those of the numerical integration. And finally, what we would like to do is, once we have an optimized version of the approach, we would like to properly benchmark it against other approaches, such as the group convolutional neural network.